As I've already indicated, this is our 156th graduation ceremony. Today we have people in the courtroom, very limited numbers because of the pandemic. We have people by Zoom, which we can see up on the screen, and we are also live streaming this as well. There have been a total of 786 graduates from this program, 85 from our DUI program, and 701 people from the drug court. In reflecting about graduation today, I've been thinking about many things. This is the third month in a row that we have had the privilege of celebrating a graduation, which of course is very exciting. And as it is the week before Thanksgiving, and as the current participants know, we've been talking a lot about gratitude in drug court, and I've been thinking a lot about gratitude, which is the state, of course, of being grateful or thankful. The last couple of weeks, I've shared a quote that I found maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago about gratitude. Gratitude is the best medicine. It heals your mind, it heals your body and your spirit, and attracts more things to be grateful for. Perhaps this year it is a little harder for people to feel grateful. We continue to live in a pandemic. It is spreading rapidly right now. People continue to feel and live in isolation. The recent presidential election is over, but not really. Our nation continues to feel like it is in a turmoil. Many people are thrilled with the result of the election for varying reasons, while many people are bitterly disappointed. But despite these things, there really is so much to be thankful for. To start with, we do live in a country where we have great freedoms, including that we can disagree and openly talk about our disagreements. We have 3 branches of government. We don't live in a dictatorship. We have a judicial branch of government, which is why we are able to be here at a drug court graduation. Instead of a system which is a pipeline to prison, we work side by side with people and walk with them, giving them support and accountability on their journey of recovery. We have an amazing program here in Thurston County with a fantastic group of professionals who work tirelessly. We have amazing and incredible participants who are willing to change basically every aspect of their lives, to humble themselves, to ask and to receive help, to open themselves up completely to a different sustained life in recovery. I know that when we've been talking about gratitude and when each one of us on our team has talked about what we are grateful for, one of the things that every single person on our drug court team has said is that they are thankful to be able to work in this program and to work with all of our participants. I do want to quote a couple of things that participants have talked about as it relates to being thankful and what they are grateful for right now. Many participants indicated that they are so grateful that they've reconnected with family, and one participant in particular talked about the joy of being able to be with his family at Thanksgiving, which hasn't happened in 4 years. People are grateful to see the rewards of their hard work. They're thankful for this program, grateful for sobriety, and for a second chance. One person gave his top 10 things that he is grateful for, ending with the statement, "There are so many more things, but these are the top 10. And then one person summed everything up when he said, "I just want to say I am grateful to be sober, to have my family back in my life, to be around my son every day. I am grateful to all the staff in this program for helping me realize that I can be a good, happy, healthy member of society who contributes. But more than that, I am blessed to have a second chance at life and to be sober enough to feel the love given to me by my friends and family. I am thankful for Thanksgiving because I love turkey and pumpkin pie. I'm eternally grateful to have my mind back from all the toxic chemicals that used to possess it. And I'm just happy to enjoy the day-to-day grind of a normal life. I wish my dad was still alive to see me doing well, but either way, I'm grateful to become the person he always told me I could be. Thank you, everyone who helped make this possible for me." So I just think that today, as we are grateful for 4 in particular people who are graduating today, we can recognize that there are so many good things going on, even amidst a lot of difficult things. Now, this group of graduates, like all of our graduates, are unique. They've had their struggles, and actually perhaps these 4 individuals have had more struggles than some of the other graduates that we've seen. In reviewing the files between the four of them, they had 24 sanctions. And 2 of the people today were on the brink of termination. And I talk about these things at graduation because it provides hope. You don't have to be perfect in this program to finish it. You don't have to be perfect in life to have recovery. All 4 graduates today have had a lot of success, and we are celebrating that today. Of course, each of them is working in jobs that they like. They all have their driver's license, and they have successfully risen to the challenges within themselves and their lives to be here today. So we are extremely proud and excited to celebrate today with Andre Charles, Edward Farron, Corey Thompson, and Chris Tinnerstedt. Each member of our drug court team is really proud, and we admire each of you. We know that you are going to accomplish a lot in the future, and we want to hear about it from you. Just like at every other graduation recently, I'm challenging each graduate to ensure that they contact our program every month for at least the next 12 months for a quick check-in, whether that is a phone call, a drop-in, an appointment with your counselor, whatever you choose. And Mr. Tinnerstedt, we know you will be in contact with us, and we will worry if we do not hear from you. Finally, at the last several graduations, I've also given you by the numbers reasons why drug court is successful, because we know personally why it is successful, but we have funders who want to see numbers about why our program is successful. For these 4 graduates, had they not chosen drug court, and had they been sentenced to a mid-range sentence on the charges they entered drug court on, between them, they would have been incarcerated for 126 months or 10.5 years. It costs $115 a day to house someone at the Department of Corrections. So this program saved the community at large, of course, so much more than that for these 4 people, but $440,000. And as always, what I really want to stress, more important than any dollar value, is the fact that in 2 years or less, each of these men have transformed themselves. Our community has regained productive members. They have restored relationships with their families, work full-time, parent their children. Even Mr. Charles, his children are grown. He is still actively involved in their lives, and certainly his sweet little granddaughter. And they are living their best lives. And so it is super exciting to be celebrating with them today. I'm now going to introduce our drug court team, starting with our program manager, Sabrina Craig. I think somewhere by Zoom is Kim Robbins. The lawyers assigned to drug court, Rosemary Hewitson. And I'm not sure if Mr. Abid was able to come today or not, but we also have Ali Abid. And defense lawyers, Brian Gerhardt. And then by Zoom, we have Jenna Norden and Luke Swinney. Our treatment team, Autumn Irvine, our clinical supervisor. And our treatment counselors, Terry Buckner, Lori Mai, and Tony Bartlett. And our former case manager, Kayla Eichhorn, is here with us today too. We have our program assistant, Danny Duell, and the office assistants, Darcy LaChapelle and Jason Foreman. Now, one thing that has really been missing at our last couple of graduations, and one of the great traditions in drug court, is that when you graduate, you are told that you can come back every year and receive a coin that marks the next year of sobriety that you have. And we just have not been able to do that for a variety of reasons, mostly because no one can come to court to receive their coins. But a number of our alumni have contacted the program and are going to receive their coins today. I'm hoping that several of them might be present by Zoom. I know one person is present in the courtroom as a guest at the graduation today. And so we'll start now with presentation of coins. First, Robert Salama graduated May 20, 2011, 11-year coin today. Christy Oliver Blakely graduated October 12, 2012, receives her 9-year coin today. Mindy Bowman graduated December 12, 2017, and has her 7-year coin today. Terry Cochran graduated July 26, 2016, receives 5-year coin today. Now I do know that this person is present by Zoom because I can see her. Next is Megan Potter, now known as Buchanan, graduated February 22, 2019, receives her 3-year coin today. Angie Scott graduated June 28, 2019, receives her 3-year coin today. Christy Russell graduated September 29, 2019, 2-year coin today. Tukai Malou graduated September 27, 2019, 2-year coin today. Robert Jackson graduated December 13, 2019, receives his 2-year coin today. Congratulations. Next, I just want to give an extra shout out to this person. We had 21 people graduate during our shutdown due to COVID in March, April, May time period. So the next person graduated without having had a real graduation ceremony yet. We are still going to figure that out. Kevin Moore graduated March 26, 2020, and this is his 2-year coin. And finally, also graduating during our shutdown is Philip Johns, graduated May 5, 2020, and this is his 2-year coin. At this time, I am now going to call forward the counselors, and they will introduce the graduates today. I'm going to start with Autumn Irvine, who will introduce our first graduate.
This is already going to be a hard one. Good gosh. So when this gentleman came to our program, he was a little oppositional, asked a lot of questions. We came to the conclusion, and I think I even told him he was just going to keep asking questions to make sure I knew what I was talking about until he could trust me, because trust was not a word in his vocabulary for many reasons. In his time with us, he has become a huge role model. He reaches out to other participants. He reaches out to his family. He volunteers on a regular basis. Was doing that even before he had to. He became a grandfather while on the program. And one of the things was he was glad that his granddaughter was never going to know who he was before. He's worked hard to become the man he's always meant to be. And so at any age, you can do that. He's proud of who he is. And I couldn't be more proud of him. I introduce Andre Charles.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. I'll be honest with you, I never really thought I'd make it up to this podium like this. I'm really honored and I'm truly grateful. So I'll start with entering this drug court program. I was deep in my addiction and I was committing crimes to support my drug habit on a daily basis. At first glance, recovery wasn't an option until the day I got arrested. And from that very moment, I knew I had to do something to get myself together and be that person that I used to be. Mind you, I tried numerous times to stay clean, and I would always end up relapsing after maybe 2 or 3 years, or maybe 5 to 10 years. I relapsed like 4 times, and this is the last one right here, because I'm not going to go back again. The drug court program in Pierce County denied me 3 times. I think I probably would have been okay if I would have gotten a drug court program a long time ago, but unfortunately, that's not what God's plan was. Fortunately, when I got in trouble here, Sabrina gave me an opportunity to get myself together. She had a long talk with me, and she understood my background. She's seen the patterns. She understood everything pretty much about me. And she gave me a chance. I figured no matter what, if I was able to get into the program, I wouldn't let anything stop me or deter me from graduating this program. So for the first 3 months into the program, I was challenged every week on everything from thinking reports to high-risk situations. I was very oppositional. I had a very bad attitude. I was against all and everything that was pretty much in the program, because pretty much everybody that's in the program, that's how you start off. I had demons and I had a lot of things. I had to really fight with myself and try to understand the addiction and the recovery at the same time. And that was very difficult for me. So phase one really taught me a lot about myself and being in opposition with the program and with the people in the program. I just didn't like anybody. I just was really upset about being here and putting myself in the position that I was in. Phase 2 taught me about myself and my inner demons. And after I figured out what was going on, I learned a great deal about patience and not expecting everything to happen overnight. So eventually it all started to sink in and change was in their horizons, and I was escaping my prison after all. Phase 3 taught me how to manage high-risk situations and everyday routines that I had. So when I was faced with my challenges, I would think and be able to identify problems and be able to react better than I did in the past. And that's probably why I ended up relapsing in the past, because I didn't have those tools that drug court gave me. My past guilt and failures used to be hard for me to deal with. Now I have learned to take action and defeat those self-defeating behaviors with the knowledge I have learned from all the phases. Autumn, I want to thank you and happy birthday, by the way, for the patience that you had with dealing with me, as well as the rest of the drug court team. You guys really had patience with me, and I know I was a mess, but this is what it was, you know. It was all for a good cause in the end. Let's see here. To the Darcy, Danny, Jason, all the drug court staff that always had information for me and gave me guidance when I needed it. Any information that I needed when I was in need of that, they always had input for me and gave me the right direction. Terry, very smart veteran over there. I appreciate you and all the help that you gave me. You're a very smart guy, very sharp guy as well. The drug court attorneys, I'm going to thank you guys. Brian, Rosemary, you guys really kept me going and always was ready to hold me accountable. Judge Seller, you always were a fair judge, and you held me accountable as well. And I'm very grateful for this program. I appreciate all the work that everybody put into helping me be the best person that I could be. And I'm very grateful for this program for helping me improve myself. And it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Congratulations. And now Sabrina, stay here. Sabrina is going to have a presentation for you as well.
When people graduate drug court, we like to leave them with a parting gift. And this gift is our graduate cup, right? It's our normal, ordinary, responsible person cup, because that's what you are now.
Right.
And inside, right, is a little gift with your rock, a couple pennies, a marble, and a little poem that says, when the world feels like it makes no sense and you feel like you're losing your marbles, grab your stone from within and start your day again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Andre Charles, 540 days clean and sober. One of the bummers about, there's so many, about not being able to have a courtroom full of people and all the technology that we're using, which is awesome, so many people can watch, but we cannot display, when we have Zoom and we're live streaming, we cannot display the booking photos, because Mr. Charles has quite the booking photo that I wish was displayed right now, but it's not possible. All right, next, I'm going to call Autumn back again to introduce our next graduate.
There really should be a rule that I can't go back to back. So there's a saying that people come in our lives at certain times for certain reasons. And always the timing is what's important. With this individual, when we go through changes in counseling staff and things like that, and we had through the COVID pandemic, there was a couple other changes, and this gentleman kind of changed counselors a couple different times throughout his stay with us. And then each time those people came in his life at certain times when they needed him. His first counselor helped him to get through his confusion about life and about, being the man he wants to be and getting him started on the right path. And then he was transferred to another young lady who taught him some very important values. One thing we're very big on is honesty. Anybody who knows about this program is all about honesty. And this gentleman threw his life to the wind when he chose honesty over living a lie, realizing that he could have continued a lie and graduated earlier than this, and said, that's not what I want. And he had a very young counselor who did almost everything she could to talk with him and teach him. And luckily, the team and Judge Schaller said, we're not done yet, because he's not done yet. And that's probably one of the best choices drug court made in the last 6 months for this individual. In his time, he did not take the 6 months lightly. He worked on every aspect of his life. We lost that counselor and he came to me. And again, people come at certain times when they need that person. And I believe he came when he needed each person. His higher power is looking out for him. He has conquered many, as Mr. Charo says, demons. He's became the man that he was always meant to be. He's become connected to some wonderful people, and he's found his own family. I couldn't be prouder. I couldn't be happier for him that he is going to be standing here today, and he is going to walk out the man that he should have and probably will continue to do and touch lives, because he is a quiet, strong rock. So with that, I give you Ed Farron.
Let me catch my breath real quick because I'm very emotional. I like to cry. So my name is Edward. Most of you guys know me by Edward or Eddie or Ed. And this is my story. I was only 9 years old when I first tried meth. I was just a little turd, not having a single clue that one day I would grow up to be an addict. In '97, my family and I moved to Washington. I was 12 then. Moving to Washington was a big change for me and my family. Very different here compared to the islands. A year later, my father had passed away. At the age of 13, shortly after my father passed, I started hanging out with people who drank and smoked weed on a daily basis. Always sneaking out the house when my mom fell asleep, not following her rules. I would always skip school to get drunk and high, just being rebellious, not caring about anything. Losing our father took a toll on all of us. So it was like that for me until I turned 16. My circle of friends changed real quick from people who drank and smoked weed to people who smoked weed, meth, crack, cocaine, selling drugs, you name it. Still not having a clue how my life was about to take a hard turn for the worst. Got into stealing cars, breaking into homes, stealing merchandises from stores, stealing money from people, not caring what kind of damage I have caused to their family or business. I cared for nothing but my addiction. Slowly but surely, I started to build a criminal record for myself. And once I got into the system, it was like that. Or once I got into the system, it seemed like I was stuck in it from then on. I was in and out of jail numerous times. Been to prison twice, maxed out on points. In 2007, the age of 21, I got married, had a beautiful daughter, and did good for a while, clean and sober, up until the year 2012. This is when I relapsed again. That's when I hit rock bottom. Lost it all. Wife, house, cars, job, trust, honesty, integrity, family. Worst year of my life. I was on the way to my own deathbed up until I caught this charge and was offered to take the DUI drug court program. Before I signed, I was bailed out. That same night, same night, the first thing I tried to do was contact my daughter because I knew that I had broken her heart because I felt as a father once again and was told that she never wants to see or speak to me ever again. One of the worst feelings I have ever felt, ever. Right then and knew it was time for me to change my life around and stop at the games and to think about my well-being and my family and those I love, and most of all, my daughter. When I started drug court, I was determined to do what it takes to better my life and the way of thinking. In phase 1 CSE, I was challenged with what I thought was the right belief for the reasons why I was doing wrong to the positive belief and the way of thinking. That famous question, why, was a tough question for me, but got me thinking to myself why, and was able to dig deep and find that right belief that led me to do the wrong things I did and to change it to a belief in a positive way. In phase 2 MRT, I learned that making amends to my victims and loved ones and all who I have victimized is a must. Living in guilt would just bring me back to my old lifestyle, which I no longer want to live, and setting reasonable goals and achieving them. In phase 3, I've learned that you have to reach out in times of crisis and to get a support system and use it. Now you would think that after phase 1, 2, and 3, you would have the tools and knowledge to stay clean and sober, right? Well, in my case, I didn't. Well, at least I thought I did, which led me to my relapse, which was 4/27/20. The day before graduation. Thinking I got it, I had went out and celebrated. Next thing you know, I'm drinking and wanting to get high, and I did. Said to myself, I'll be safe. There's no UAs, I'm good. Then bam, very next day, I called the UA line and was on the list for UAs. My heart dropped and once again started to think like a criminal. Went in for my UA, and after I provided, I had stolen my cup, left the building, came back with a different urine in it and had dropped it back in the box and then left. Now I was scared and paranoid, just an emotional wreck. Scared that I was about to go back to prison. I thought, man, I'll be fine, it'll pass. No worries. At the same time, it also got me thinking, now what if I did pass my UA and graduated? I said to myself, I would continue to use if I had gotten away with it. I played the tape over and over and over until I realized that it's not the life I want to live ever again. So a week later, his graduation was pushed off for a week, waiting for the results to come back on 5/4/2020. I had contacted Kayla and admitted to my use and what lengths I have taken to switch my UA. I knew it was the right thing to do. Before drug court, I knew nothing about honesty. My motto was fake it till I make it. But that is no longer a belief for me now. I want to graduate, but also the right way and not by a lie. I finally went to court with the feeling I'm about to get terminated. Termination was asked for, and I was asked why should they give me a second chance when drug court worked for me. With me and my honesty proves that drug court works. Because drug court is about working an honest program. I replied I wasn't ready to graduate with obvious reasons and that I didn't love and respect myself enough to stay clean and sober. And that I feel that there's more for me to learn. By the grace of God, I was given a second chance and was extended for another 6 months. During that 6 months, I participated in a parenting class called Dynamics Dads, which I have learned how much my addiction affects our children and what damages it causes and how to communicate better as a parent and to be a better father for my kids. I was also given 2 workbooks. Helping Men Recover is one of them. What I've learned from that workbook is self-awareness and identity and defining self, and how to be a man and how to understand what I'm feeling and how to control it. My second workbook is a self-esteem workbook. What I've learned from that workbook is how to love and respect myself and how to develop better self-esteem with positive thinking and self-talk and to give myself credit where it's due, and that living life in regret could cause another chance of relapse. I've learned to forgive myself and to accept my past and to move on from it, and to switch negative thoughts that causes negative self-esteem to positive thoughts that helps with positive self-esteem for me to maintain only positive self-esteem. With that being said, I want to thank the drug court team for believing in me and for all that you've done for me. Michael, for the knowledge and wisdom that you've taught me and how to change my core beliefs. And Terry, for the many wonderful war stories you have shared. I know you also challenged me with the way of thinking, turning into a positive. Lori, for being such a wonderful and helpful person with a positive attitude. And Sabrina, for accepting me into the DUI court program, giving me a chance. To have a better life. Darcy and Jason for the positive attitudes every time I come in and see you guys. Always puts a smile on my face. You both do so much for all of us, and I very much appreciate you both for that. Autumn. Thank you so much for being a wonderful counselor. You see me cry, actually made me cry happy and sad tears. But most of all, your knowledge and wisdom is so amazing. Challenged me in so many ways I could never imagine myself doing alone. And I'm grateful, and I'm very grateful for that. You're a medicine to my soul. Kayla. I want to acknowledge that without Kayla's help, I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for her. She fought hard for me not to get terminated and never gave up. And strongly believed in me, not sure what she saw in me, but she saw something worth fighting for, which I'm very, very much grateful for. Made me believe in myself that I can do this. Thank you. And Ms. Hewson, I want to apologize for the letdown. When you two believed in me and saw my potential, thank you for your words and encouragement. It means a lot. I also want to thank Brian for fighting for us when we mess up and having our backs. Thank you for all that you do for all of us. And Kim and Danny for putting up with me whenever I ask about my drug court dollars and wanted to buy something from the store. Judge Scheller. I can't express enough my gratitude, appreciation for giving me a second chance, and not terminating me. You believe and saw something in me worth keeping around. Your words of encouragement, knowledge, and wisdom helps me in so many ways. You're not just a judge to me, you're my hero. With the way you believe in all of us gives me the strength to carry on in my life for the better. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. And Pat, for your consistency, with your support, means the world to me. Your knowledge and wisdom helps me mentally and emotionally. You are my mentor. And my brother at heart. Thank you so much for all that you do for me. Last but not least, to my best friends, Brittany and Ison. You are more than a friend to me. Brittany, you are more than a friend to me. You are my sister. Your love and support means the world to me. Never giving up on me when I feel like giving up on myself. You always have my back no matter what. You always have the right things to say and always telling me that I am better than what I make myself out to be. Believing in me, making me feel worth it. And Ison, you are like a big brother to me. Your support means the world to me. Also, you're always there for me, always wanting the best for me, helping me when I'm feeling down, even picking me up when I don't need to be picked up, giving me the strength to want a better life for me and my daughter. You both took me into your family, taking a chance with me, not fully knowing anything about me, gave me a foundation to build on, helped me with drug court. You're both given a lot and asked for nothing in return, just for me to keep it 100 with you guys. If it wasn't for you guys also, I wouldn't be here or the man I am today. You guys are my rock, my world, and my everything. I love you guys with all my heart, and I'm very grateful and blessed to have such friends like you guys. Thank you.
Ms. Craig? Edward Farron, 197 days clean and sober. So I just want to acknowledge that we're in a kind of, we're in the pandemic, so we are not supposed to hug, and that's why I didn't hug Mr. Charles. I did hug Mr. Farron, but we're not supposed to hug, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm glad I got a chance to. All right, next. Tony Bartlett's going to come forward and introduce our next graduate.
Wow, I get to follow that. Holy smokes, that was powerful. It was very sincere. I've had the pleasure of working with Corey over the last 4 months. When I first came in, he was at the end of his journey, and he himself is a product of a second cancer in drug court. I knew right off the bat that he was real treatment savvy. He could speak it, could talk the talk. He knew. Obviously had some really good counselors along the way. Whoever they were, my hat's off to them. Professionals, all of them. So we instantly got to work on what life after drug court's going to look like. He did recovery plans, treatment plans. We talked, we brainstormed, what it's going to look like. I know that he's going to spend Thanksgiving with his family. And, after all the conversations that we had about life after drug court, it really came down to it's going to look much the same, except for he's outgrowing his Oxford house and would like an apartment. And, but he's going to continue to do what works. He's figured out a recipe, and the cooking's good, so he's going to repeat it. It's like a good chocolate chip cookie recipe. Don't change it if it works. All right, pleasure to introduce Mr. Corey Thompson.
Oh, man. Thank you, Tony. Hopeless, lost, ashamed, desperate, broken. I was all these things before I started this program. I was homeless, going from couch to couch, never knowing where I would sleep each night, if I even slept at all. My days were spent stealing from stores so I could take the things I stole and trade them for drugs. My life was a complete disaster, and my only respite came from the end of a needle. I desperately needed help. That help came by way of an arrest for shoplifting from a local department store. I didn't know it at the time, but that arrest would serve as the catalyst to my entry into the Thurston County Drug Court program, the program that has undoubtedly saved my life. In the beginning, I had to relearn the basic principles of being a normal, a functioning member of society again, and I can promise you it wasn't easy. Countless times I just wanted to run away, but instead I kept showing up. Slowly but surely, my life started to become manageable again. In my MRT group class, I was learning to be honest and trustworthy, not just with others, but with myself as well. In my CSC class, we analyzed my old habits and ways of thinking that got me into trouble in an effort to develop new ways of thinking that would make a positive and lasting impact on my life and my recovery. Things were going pretty well. I had some consecutive months of sobriety under my belt, a job, and for the most part, I was making it to all of my drug court obligations. But the truth is, I was doing just enough to keep myself out of jail, and I wasn't even doing great at that. I kept making mistakes. I continued to try and manipulate the program and make it easier on myself. It was typical addict behavior, and eventually Judge Schaller and the drug court staff had finally had enough. 9 months into the program, and I was thrown into jail indefinitely while they decided what to do with me. 3 long weeks went by, and I was brought back into court facing the possibility of termination and a trip back to prison. I stood in front of Judge Schaller and pleaded with her to give me another chance, and against all recommendations, she gave me just that. She sentenced me to the chemical dependency program, also known as CDP, at the Thurston County Jail, ultimately giving me another opportunity to continue in this program. In phase 1 of CDP, I worked through the moral recognition therapy workbook and learned honesty and discipline that I had completely lost to my disease. In phase 2, I was in work release finishing my MRT workbook while also being allowed to work, save money, and start to form some semblance of a normal routine again. It took a lot of hard work and discipline, but after almost 6 months, I graduated CDP and was ready to restart drug court with an entirely new attitude and mindset. In phases 1 and 2, I learned about my addiction, what my triggers are, how to avoid potentially dangerous situations, and what to do if I find myself in bad spots. We also continued to study and analyze all of my criminal behavior and bad decisions to help me understand why I made the choices I did and how to make the right ones moving forward. In phase 3, we focused on relapse prevention and preparing for life after drug court. This consisted of identifying my high-risk situations, learning to manage those situations appropriately, and ultimately developing a thoughtful and effective recovery plan that I can rely on for the rest of my life. I entered this program a hopeless drug addict. I hadn't seen my daughter in almost a year, and I had little to no hope for the future. Now, I'm an integral part of my daughter's life. I have a job I love, and 3 days ago, I celebrated 2 years clean and sober. None of this would have been even remotely possible without this program and the people who run it. I would like to thank my counselors, Michael Clark, Kayla Eichhorn, and Tony Bartlett, for always pushing me to do better and be better no matter the circumstance. I would like to thank clinical supervisor Autumn Irvine for always being the first one to call me out when I was trying to revert back to my old ways. I would like to thank Counselor Lori Mize for pushing me to the finish line of this program and always being easy to talk to. I would like to thank Counselor Terry Buckner for always being quick to remind me of the consequences of my actions right before I almost made a bad decision. I would like to thank Program Manager Sabrina Craig for allowing me in this program in the first place and never truly giving up on me. I would like to thank Program Coordinator Kim Robbins and Program Assistant Danny Duell for always being available and willing to help when the situation arose. I would like to thank Office Assistants Darcy LaChapelle and Jason Foreman for being extremely helpful and consistently pleasant on all the mornings we've spent together. I would like to give a special thank you to my attorney, Brian Gearhart, for always fighting for me, even when things seem completely hopeless and out of reach. And last but not least, I would like to thank Judge Schaller. Judge Schaller, you believed in me when everyone else had given up. You didn't just simply give me another chance. You pushed me to be a better father, and you pushed me to be a better man. There are no amount of words that can properly express my gratitude. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Corey Thompson, 442 days clean and sober. Next, Mr. Buckner is going to come forward to introduce our last graduate today.
Can we keep them for another month? Oh my, the word that comes to mind with this next young man, anger. He entered the program angry. He was mad about everything and anything there was. And it took him a while to get over that angry piece. But then one day, he finally came around and realized he didn't have control over the world. He learned a lot about acceptance. And since then, he has made a lot of great strides in his treatment and in his life. And he is very happy with life now, and especially with that relationship with his daughter. With that, I'm very proud to introduce Mr. Christopher Tennerstadt. Great speech.
I think I do. Yeah. Hello, my name is Chris Tinderstedt. I entered this program. I had no intentions of completing it or staying sober. It was my get out of jail free card. I was angry at the world and fought with Terry every chance I could and didn't want to hear anything he had to say. I didn't want to be honest with myself about how I ended up here, and I didn't want to take any accountability for my actions. After a few months, I relapsed on alcohol and got called into Kim's office. It wasn't a true self-admit of use because she had to ask me, but it was the first time I gave an honest answer. I admitted to another use that happened in between, and to my surprise, I only got 2 days in jail for this. But it was exactly what I needed to go through to ask myself some serious questions and get real with myself about what I wanted with my life. From that point on, I started doing the work. In phase 1, I learned about honesty and accountability and what it meant to me in sobriety. I learned how to manage my time and prioritize things, but the most important thing phase 1 taught me was that I could be idle, that it was okay to make little steps and I didn't have to overextend myself and force progress overnight. I spent all of phase 1 at my sober house thinking about my future and cursing Terry for how unfair and unreasonable he was. After joining phase 2, I was midway through Seeking Safety. Seeking Safety taught me how to cope with my past traumas and how to deal with the anxieties of everyday life. Seeking Safety also taught me how to ground myself when experiencing emotions I had a hard time controlling and processing, like anger and depression. Phase 2 MRT taught me about the character defect, my ego, and how unrealistic a lot of expectations of my life were. I learned how to accept my position in life and how to commit to smaller goals that would ultimately lead me to my long-term goals that I had set for myself in my MRT book. Phase 2 also gave me a rare opportunity not others had gotten. The coronavirus pandemic offered me a chance to relapse. No UAs, no drug court, and no UAs at my sober house. I was offered a chance to make a choice to relapse in line, get away with it, or stay sober and commit to my new life and goals and commit to my progress. I chose to commit to my new life and to keep my sobriety for myself and instilled a readiness to me to take on the world after drug court. But my journey wasn't over yet. I entered phase 3 and jumped into relapse prevention. And relapse prevention asked me questions I didn't yet think of. Maybe think about my triggers, risky situations, and high-risk situations. They give me the time to think about how I will conduct myself when I don't have to go to prison, when I don't have prison time hanging over my head. The projects help me add a timeline to my addiction and remind me of the person I was before my addiction. Last but not least, we have CSC. I say this for last because the issues I suffered from in drug court were just addiction, in my opinion. They were the lesser of my issues. My behavior, my attitude, my outlook on life, and my ability to process events in my life were so misconstrued and off base from reality. I never thought I would make any progress in my life or change any of these things about myself. But CSE made me map out every crime committed and dived into every thought I had while committing these crimes and every feeling I had while I was thinking about committing the crime. I've dived into the beliefs that led me to justify my actions in the first place. The way I think and the way I convince myself to do things and how I did things to justify them to myself and others later. My journey through drug court changed me as a person, only thanks to the efforts of the drug court team. Thank you, Terry, for sticking it out with me throughout all of the stubbornness, my opposition, and anger. I don't think I would have been able to be successful if I had any other counselor. Thank you, Autumn, for always being the voice of reason and having my back when Terry was being unfair. Thank you, Jason, for... He was so unfair. Thank you, Jason, for always being positive. Your attitude rubbed off on me on a daily basis. Thank you, Darcy, for your positive attitude and your immense knowledge on everything. You always helped me find the resources I needed to keep moving forward and help me stay motivated. Kim, what could I say? You feel like my own personal program director sometimes. You helped me with so many things from phase 1 to 3 and only missed my calls twice and always called me back. Not the same I could say for Terry. You helped me make my time here benefit me so much, answering all my questions and giving me wiggle room when you could and keeping your foot down when you couldn't. Thank you. Thank you, Danny, for all the bus passes, not just the ones you gave me, but the replacements after I lost my wallet several times. Thank you, Sabrina, for giving me a chance and keeping me on my toes throughout my time here. Thank you, Judge Schaller, for believing in me, for always having good things to say to me and encouraging me in my progress. And thank you for all the coins and hugs. You're my favorite judge. Thank you, Rhonda. You've been the best landlord I could have asked for. You took the stress factor completely out of the equation and helped me motivate me to take steps forward in working on myself and always motivating me to keep going. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, Lori. Thank you for telling me thank you for telling on me and making me redo my speech. Had you not caught me, there's a big typo here, excuse me. Thank you for making me redo my speech. Had you not caught me driving, I could have gotten a new charge and terminated from the program and had you not made me redo my speech, I wouldn't have reflected and remembered how far I've really come from rags to riches, baby. Thank you for keeping me accountable. Thank you to my mom and my stepdad for staying with me through all this and supporting me and helping me become the man I want to be. And I stand up here today proud to be someone that you can be proud of. Thank you to Danielle for always encouraging me and having a very positive perspective whenever I'm out of my element and unable to process things. Thank you to Gearhart, and thank you to Sweeney. Thank you to Rosemary. You guys have all played a really important role in helping me in court here. Even after I graduate today, you guys are still helping me tackle some of these challenges in life that are a little too difficult for me. And anyone else and all the other participants that had any interaction with me in the program. Thank you, guys.
Christopher Tinnerset, 417 days. Next, we will have Ms. Hewitson present the Hope Coins.
So gentlemen, you today are getting something that Autumn Irvine does not have, even though she has asked me multiple times and it's her birthday. She is not a graduate today, and so will not be receiving the Hope Coin that I don't think we have any attorneys that have gotten it unless they've retired after 30 years. So the Hope Coin is a representation from my office that no matter how bad the circumstances are, that there is always hope. There is always the opportunity to make your lives better. And what I love about the Hope Coleman and Drug Court is that you four are an example to not only the drug court participants, that no matter how many sanctions, 6, 7, no matter how many petitions we file, that there is always the chance to come back and successfully graduate drug court. So I want you to keep these with you. They're a reminder not only to yourselves of how far you've come, but they're a reminder to your family members and anyone you know that's struggling. And I think what's especially great about our 4 graduates today is that you're all dads and granddads. And I think that if there were more dads like you 4 in the community, that Brian and I would have to be tax attorneys because we would lose our jobs. So I am so excited to be able to present you with your Hope Coins today and congratulate you from our office on your graduation.
And Ms. Houston, you can just stay standing because it's now your opportunity to offer the prosecutor's statements to each graduate.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I'm trying to track this camera so I don't go off. Oh, and I have notes this time because I've been so excited. So Mr. Charles, Ms. McMullen, we had a fight. She won. And so she would like to give you some words, even though she can't be here today. Ms. McMullen, if you remember, is the tall, skinny, angry one. It just puts it in context. So, sir, you and I started in drug court around the same time. I remember when you signed and your first couple of reviews. I remember this because I just come from the domestic violence unit. That unit and working in the criminal justice system can take a toll on people. We regularly see bad things and see the same people over and over again, and you can start to doubt whether people can really change their lives. But what I specifically remember about those first few weeks is that every week you came in and were real about what was going on and how you plan to deal with it, with whatever it was, how to deal with whatever it was the following week you'd come back and give an update on how things went. She goes, I bring that up because how you handled yourself and the challenges you faced restored her faith in the belief that people can change. Sir, you embody the hope philosophy, that the future can be different and that you have the power to make it so. You were convicted of your first felony crime when she had just turned 2 in December of 1987. You, sir, are the perfect example that no matter your age, it's never too late to change. She says if she had one word to describe you, that would be integrity. Throughout this program, you have repeatedly demonstrated that you are a man of your word, and Thurston County is better off because you're a member of this community. So, Mr. Farron. Brian, there's an extra box read. So, I did not wear mascara because I knew that this day was coming.
Welcome to my world.
Exactly. And you know that I have been so excited for this day. And it is a much better day than the day we all remember. Because I don't think I've ever had my heart broken as much. But I have never in my life, and I am older than Ms. McMullen, have seen personal courage and integrity, to steal the word from Mr. Charles, than I did when we heard in staffing about what was happening with you. I don't think we've ever had a staffing where so many attorneys had nothing to say because we were just so overwhelmed by what you were going through and the courage that you showed by coming forward and recognizing that you needed to be responsible for your actions. So I am so much more excited to be here today and to be congratulating on you and your graduation. Knowing all that you went through and all of the resources that you have accessed. You are not the sum of your bad deeds, sir. You are the sum of those moments of courage. And that's what stands out for me and what I will always remember about you in this program. So congratulations. So Mr. Thompson, Ms. McMullen, and I, on behalf of our hairdressers, would like to say that there is not enough money in the budget to cover the gray hairs that we have now accumulated. I have given up. Ms. McMullen is still making those monthly payments. You have taught us de-escalation, because every week when we would get those treatment reports, there was a lot of white knuckling, sir, that would happen, because when we would turn them over, we would find out whether or not you were eligible. And there were a lot more prayers said in this building.
Ms. McMullen is present right now by Zoom in case you can't see her, too.
There you go. You all waved her. You have overcome so much in this program. And you have turned it around. And you are absolutely right that we petitioned for that termination and we did not know what to do with you. And it was not for the big things. It was for all those little things that obviously you recognize was not you fully committed to the program. And I will say that the Corey Thompson before us today is a much different Corey Thompson. And we are so proud of you. And we are so proud of the contributions you have made to the community and the effort that you're putting forward with raising your daughter has been astounding. So thank you for sharing your journey with us. This is not your personal roast, and I'm not giving you the microphone. So you're just going to have to listen to me for a change. So, sir, you have the distinct pleasure of having had sanctions with all three of the drug court prosecutors. You're welcome. Also, Mr. Abid and to Mr. Thompson is so proud of both of you, since he takes the credit for your graduation today, since he's the one who put you in the program. Mr. Tinnerstead, I'd like you to remember that I am the one who gave you 4 violations, or brought that up to the court and asked for 4 sanctions. My favorite sanction has to be, however, on December 3rd, when you got 3 days of work crew, or December 13th, which happens to be 3 days before my birthday, and it was probably the best birthday present you could have given me. And I miss work crew so much. You had no less than 6. A cell phone violation. Of course, that was Ms. McMullen. I imposed what I have thought was the Brian Gerhardt sanction. And I've been attributing this to Brian Gerhardt. He's never actually brought it up. But you were one of the first individuals who get the suspended time. So you got a 1-day jail imposed, but suspended over 4 weeks. That didn't work out for you very well. And so now that will always be in my mind the Tinnerstead violation and not the Gerhardt recommendation. You had the straight into custody sanction, which is my personal favorite, along with work crew. Yeah, if given an option, it's definitely going to be straight into jail. But you, despite those 6 violations, all of a sudden had, and I would like to say, I think it's the last violation I gave you, which was clearly 4 hours community service. But there was just a different individual who came back after COVID, and you took responsibility. You were fun, as you always are, but it was just that flip in attitude. And clearly you listened to Terry along the way, just a tad. So we are so proud that you're graduating today. And you know that if you ever need anything from the attorneys, you can call Brian directly. He is your main counterpart, but we are so proud of you today, and congratulations on graduating.
Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Norden, who is present on the Zoom screen, to make her comments.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mr. Charles. And I certainly wish that I were present in person to tell you congratulations and express just how proud I am of you. There are 3 different attorneys or defense attorneys for drug court, and each of us handles a different day of the week typically. And unfortunately, Mr. Charles has not had court on my day of the week really since right before the pandemic began. But that being said, the first, 6 months or so that I was an attorney for drug court, my time overlapped with Mr. Charles, and he definitely made an impression early on, and I've really enjoyed keeping up with him, reading his court reports, even though I haven't always seen him in court over these last 6 months or so. Early on, Mr. Charles did have some sanctions. I always remember the reason predominantly always was his cell phone going off. I also really have always been impressed by Mr. Charles' dedication to his job. And it was really rewarding to hear him describe the progress that he made in his career while he was in drug court. Hearing Mr. Charles talk about his employment, it's always been very clear to me how valued he is by his employers. I've also always been really impressed by Mr. Charles' dedication to his family. I'd say that sticks out to me as being kind of like the #1 theme of the conversations that Mr. Charles would have in court. Also, something that's always stuck with me is Mr. Charles' dedication to his larger community. We hear about community service hours in drug court a lot, but usually it's in the context of people being ordered to do it. And Mr. Charles would often come to court with stories about basically community service or volunteering that he was doing just because he wanted to give back to his community. And that always really impressed me. And hearing Mr. Charles speak earlier, it really strikes me, clearly, Mr. Charles, you have benefited from drug court. Also, drug court has really benefited from having you in it. Drug court is a better program for having had you, and our community really is better for having you in it. And I truly wish you well, and congratulations.
I would now like to invite Mr. Swinney to provide his comments.
And so I just, Brian's going to do talking to everybody else, but I just want to thank all the graduates for what you've accomplished and what you will accomplish, because this is not the end. But Andre, I do want to say that when you were on my court reviews, you were swimming pretty well at that point in the program. But I went back and talked to your original trial attorney, Eric Pilon, about you. And I don't know if you remember conversations with him that you had, but he talked to me about how you were in work release before you signed into drug court. And one of the things that he remarked on that I think speaks to your motivation and how you changed in this program is he talked about, frankly, almost a desperation, and not a desperation like a lot of criminal defendants to get out of jail or to beat their charges, but a desperation to change. And maybe you didn't know exactly how to do that, but you wanted to. And I think that desire served you very well in your time in drug court. And I just want to encourage you to remember maybe a little bit of how you were feeling back in work release in 2019 and where you want to take that energy in the future and in all your endeavors and all you do in your life. So congratulations, and I wish you all the best.
Mr. Gerhart?
This is a big one for me because I think at one point or another I was involved in your process of drug court at either at the beginning stages, mid stages, or end stages, and I get to come up here today and stand in front of 4 good men who are sitting here, and I just feel blessed to have been able to be even a small part of your journey, each and every one of you. Ed. I didn't wear mascara today either. I remember when you called me at the end of April and you told me what had happened. You said, I stumbled, I fell down, but I'm ready to get back up. And we talked about what could or couldn't happen. We didn't know. I tried to be positive. I know you were trying to be positive, and you turned a dark moment into a shining example of honesty and commitment to what you had actually learned, a dedication to who you wanted to be. And we talked about how the right decision to be honest and admit your mistake could have sent you to prison and away from your daughter. But that was the kind of person that you wanted to be. And I can't tell you how much I respect you for making that choice, because it can't have been easy. It was remarkable what you did. And I going back to the phone call, I was just so shocked because you were the guy who was there at drug court, who just seemed to be going right through, who was, from outside appearances, doing such a great job. And then I think with the relapse and the extra time, you realized it's not about just talking the talk or how it looks to other people. It's about what's inside of you. So I think you leave today knowing who you are, knowing what you're capable of, being a better person because of the extra time. I know that a large part of addiction is isolation, and I think that might have had something to do with the relapse. So I'm very happy to hear that you have connected with other people in the sober community. And I hope you never stop coming back here, because you are a very pleasant person to be around. You're always welcome here, and I know we would all love to have you back. So congratulations. Rory Thompson, this has been a very long road. 2 years, a little bit more than that. And I was looking back at all the things we've done together. And during the shutdown, I didn't get to see you very much, but I did see you come to court to present your life map. And what I thought was, who is this person presenting this life map? Because I didn't recognize you because of how much change you had undergone since you first signed into the program. And it made me think of the whole road that got you there. I just looked back and filed literally 2 years ago, November 2018. Luke and I were scrambling around to get papers signed to get you into detox because you couldn't get your stuff together. And then we were scrambling to get you into inpatient. And it didn't start off very good. But you wanted it. I just don't think you knew how to get there. You were tripping over your own feet. And you would come to court, and sometimes I'd be sitting behind you while you're talking, and I'd be rolling my eyes because you had a line for everything. You were wearing a mask, starting to slip. I think you knew that. And so, as Rosemary mentioned, you were up against the wall quite a few times. And ultimately you got taken in to custody with maybe the third or fourth termination petition hanging over your head. And we talked about what could or couldn't happen. And we talked about how much prison time you were looking at again. And we sat there in that jail talking for quite a while. And I think you knew it and I saw it. You were at the edge of a cliff because that was going to be the turning point, or it wasn't. While I was sitting there, Sabrina happened to be at the jail. She came in. Do you remember that conversation I'm talking about?
1000%. I'll never forget it.
I think that's when you finally realized you have to do this for real. Not just say what you think people want to hear or be charming or funny. You have to internalize what you're doing. And lucky for you, you had some people who supported you and some people who were willing to give you second chances, third chances, fourth chances, because there was something people saw in you. And so you got to go into CDP. I was like, this will be great. He'll get through CDP, he'll come out with his feet on the ground. And even in CDP, it wasn't perfect, right? Taking extra cake from the jail, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, Corey. But the cake incident, yes. But you came out from CDP and you were, I don't mean this to be offensive, you were boring. You were calm and you were not jumping from crisis to crisis to crisis. You were stable. And so this summer, when you called me and we had a conversation, we weren't talking about how much prison time you were facing. We talked about you wanting to go to Florida to see your parents for the first time in a long time and take your daughter there. When a year before that, we were in that jail room talking about other things. And so the road was long, but it was worth it, for me too. And so, Corey, the road doesn't end here. You got to keep going, okay? One day at a time. Okay? Congratulations. Thank you. Christopher Tinner said, you are getting your money's worth on this one. He literally called today after staffing to ask for help about his license. The day of graduation, still meeting it. But seriously, Chris, you were angry at the beginning. You didn't want to be here. And you were pretty defiant. Didn't seem like you really cared. I think you would agree with that. But to steal a line from a very, very old but very wise scholar, Terry Buckner, you were right where you needed to be. Oh. You were. Because I think you being stubborn actually worked to your advantage for once. You weren't going to quit. You were going to do this, begrudgingly at first, and then more and more willingly. But you were stubborn enough to commit to it. And I think ultimately you became this real person, this member of society who came out of kind of this wandering lost phase. I wish we could put up the booking photos because yours is pretty horrible. And you were a young man who was going to go through life like that, probably headed nowhere. And so nice to see that you came out of your funk, let's call it, to become a motivated, confident, sometimes funny, sometimes not guy. But I mean, you did it, right? You made it through. You don't have to be angry at the world. It's not always going to go the way you want. And I can actually get you Rosemary's phone number. She said she would help you with the licensing thing, so I'm done. I'm done. Don't call me. Thank you.
All right, so it's my turn. I usually start preparing for graduation, I don't know, 1 to 2 weeks before graduation starts. And for each graduate, I review the entire drug court file and make a little outline about your participation in our program, when you joined and things like that. And then I write down for each person, like my thoughts. When I think about a participant, I write down all of my thoughts. And then I review the materials that I have kept for each person, all your phase applications, the presentation of your life map, your graduation application. And this time, what was striking to me as I was reviewing those things is that for several times, my thoughts about how I was perceiving people or what they were doing, and then I would read your phase applications, and you were talking about those same things. And so I'm not stealing, unless I directly quote you, I'm not stealing your words. They really are my words, even if they are things you've said about yourselves as well. So I'm going to start with Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles entered the drug court program, and actually before I go further also, so I'm going to talk about how each participant did in the program, and I'm going to talk about sanctions that they received. And I do that not as a criticism, but we have a lot of current participants, and what we know about our program is people who are further along in the program are mentoring and are examples for our current participants. And so to see people today who are graduating, who each of you frankly had a lot of sanctions, and two, on the brink of termination, that if you are feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like giving up, feeling like you can't do it, you can. And each of these gentlemen is a great example of that. So Mr. Charles entered the program on May 28th of 2019. He had 3 months in a row. So in June, July, and August of 2019, he had sanctions for treatment violations. Didn't go to his one-on-one, didn't go to his one-on-one, was unprepared for treatment. On September 24, 2019, you advanced to phase 2. In October of 2019, and each of you got at least one cell phone violation. You had a cell phone violation. In December of 2019, a treatment violation. In December of 2019, another there should never be 2 cell phone violations. That should be the easy one. You never have them again, but a second cell phone violation. And then advancing to phase 3 on June 4th, 2019, which was also the day that you received your 1-year coin. When you came into the program, you presented as very guarded. You were very specific about information that you would share. And when we would talk about you in staffing, I would hear from treatment that you were guarded and that someone might get you talking, and then you'd realize you were talking, and then you would stop. And so it took a while to break down that wall and truly open up, but you absolutely did that. You surrendered completely to the process. You are a man that I admire so much. And one of the reasons that I admire you is your selfless commitment to giving back to others. You have lived a life. And from the time you entered this program, and regardless of exactly whether or not it was the best time or you had a sanction, every week you give back to your community, every weekend. And it is astounding. I've never seen that from anyone I've ever met before, not just in this program. And your desire to help others is so inspiring. And that included during COVID, you were trying to figure out how you could continue helping others who were in even more need at that point than before. You have the biggest heart. You are a family man, and you talk about your family all of the time and the different ways that you support them and that you deal with all of the, difficulties that come with having a family. And the sweetest thing is seeing you light up when you talk about your sweet little granddaughter. I also see you someone who is deliberative and really determined and motivated for sustained change. I still remember the day, it was probably about a year ago or so, when you talked about how you had to have a sustained recovery, how you had to have this program work so that, and these were your words, so that your addiction would never sneak back up on you. And that just is something that stands in my memory. And in my mind, you kind of referenced that in your graduation application when you said that doing the right thing when no one is watching is what I need to do to be successful. And that is what we have seen you do, and certainly you had to do during the time of COVID. You indicated in your graduation application that you were ready to graduate. I have learned the importance of honesty. I've gained courage and wisdom to make good, healthy choices, which is the key to living a successful life. You are living your successful life. You have a wonderful family. You have a great job, and you are living your best life. Congratulations. Mr. Perrin. Some of what I'm going to say is, I think, similar to what the lawyers talked about a little bit. You entered the program on March 12, 2019. You had only one violation during the time in the program up and until the time that the petition to terminate you was filed. You had a violation 1 month in, a cell phone violation, in April of 2019. You went to phase 2 in June of 2019 and phase 3 in December of 2019. And you were set to graduate on April 30th. We delayed the graduation for everyone who was supposed to graduate that day because we were able to restart UAs just days before graduation, and we wanted to ensure that we had a negative UA from everyone who was scheduled to graduate. You had relapsed, you falsified a UA, and you knew that that falsified UA was going to come back negative, and despite that, on May 4, 2020, you admitted to your use, and based upon that, the state filed a petition alleging noncompliance and motioned the court to terminate you. And we had your hearing on May 19, 2020. The state asked that I terminate you. The treatment team was divided in their recommendation as to whether or not I should terminate you. Obviously, your lawyer and you asked that I not terminate you. And I think that you probably thought as you were standing there that I would terminate you. But in the end, I did not terminate you. And I ordered that you complete at least 6 months in the program and that you complete certain things, including a parenting class, 60 hours of community service, which you have done as well. You are graduating today because you are a man of integrity. Now, that does not mean that every choice that you have made has been a good one or one that you would be proud of. But in the end, it was your integrity, your conviction in doing the right thing as to why you were not terminated from this program and how you are here today. I read a quote at some point in the beginning of May, and I wrote it down because I wanted to read it. It was towards the end of May, beginning of June, because I wanted to read it at your graduation because I felt like it was talking about you. It's a quote from Michelle Obama, and this quote was in a different context, but this is what she said. We learned about honesty and integrity, that truth matters, that you don't take shortcuts or play by your set of rules, and success doesn't count unless you earn it fair and square. And that is where you are at today. You are at your graduation that you have earned fair and square. And looking back at your time in the program, You, as I said, you moved through the program pretty easily, and you only had one sanction. You always talked at your court reviews. I never had to pry information out of you. When you come up to the podium, you would speak about what was going on in your life. And when you were ready to move to phase 2, and I think this plays into what you ended up doing, in your phase 2 application to go to phase 3, you said, I continue to live an honest and trustworthy life. When there are no lies, there's no issues. So you knew that. It was something that you knew inherent in yourself, and I think that that's what gave you the strength to admit what had happened. Since that time, since your integrity that could have sent you to prison because you wanted to be a good example, you wanted to live a real and honest life and be a good example for your daughter, you have remained in this program. And in the last 6 months, you have built a wider recovery network for yourself and have taken seriously the parenting classes in your treatment. And you have some of your support people here in court. I know you have people on the Zoom as well, and many people in the community. You've kept a good and positive attitude. You know that life has its ups and downs, but life is not a race. In your graduation application, you stated in part, I have learned to love myself and to not live in my past regrets. I'm ready to take on life by not running with it, but by walking with it. I'm ready for the next chapter in my life. You truly are inspiring person, and we are so glad that you came into our program. I'm so glad that I did not terminate you because what I saw then and what I see now is a man and a father who is dedicated to himself, his recovery, and being the best parent that he can be. Congratulations. So, Mr. Thompson, your procedural history is an entire page. So you entered the program when Judge Price was still presiding. You entered on November 6, 2018. Your first sanction, which was on November 16th, was because you left detox against medical advice, didn't contact the drug court building, and had relapsed. You then, thankfully, through, I guess, the hard work of others, were able to get into inpatient treatment in November of 2018 and completed inpatient treatment in January of 2019. And that was the first time I had an opportunity to meet you. And when I was looking over the file, a lot happened when you were in this program, and you experienced a lot of really difficult things that I think did not help, and that didn't help you. I mean, that made it so much harder for you as you kept showing up, you were trying. And the one thing that I've known about you this entire time is that this is what you want. This was what you wanted. You wanted a life with sustained change and recovery. February 5th, 2019, sanction associated with known users, and that's when someone overdosed in your house and you had to call 911. March 12, 2019, sanction order, treatment violation, and cell phone. March 19th, 2019, sanction, medication violation. April 2, 2019, sanction order, missed treatment. June, you fell asleep in group on that one. June 14, 2019, sanction order, missed UA. July 9, 2019, sanction order. And this had been an ongoing issue that you were way over on your treatment fees. Then on August 9, 2019, the state filed a petition alleging noncompliance and a motion to terminate. You were still in phase 1 after 9 months in the program, and you had been struggling that entire time. And really, you just celebrated 2 years? Yes. So it wasn't that you were using, it was that you would not change your criminal thinking and those behaviors that was continually tripping you up. And the list in the petition for noncompliance is long. It's all of those things that I just talked about, plus that there was an allegation of a new criminal law violation for driving without a license and dishonesty with staff. And we had That's when the state filed the petition, but the noncompliance issue had happened in July, and the hearing was on August 9th. And it was a very close call, just like with Mr. Farron, a very close call about what I would do as it related to terminating you, because the state asked that I terminate you, treatment asked that I terminate you, but you and defense argued that I should not terminate you. And in the end, and you said you were willing to do CDP as part of the argument to the court. There was still something left that I could order. And so that's what I did. I ordered you into CDP, and you completed CDP. There were a few problems. Mr. Gerhart referenced one of them, but you did it. And I regularly heard that treatment saw you as someone who really was trying and who was really open and honest. You completed CDP at the beginning of February of 2020, and you've only had one sanction since that time, and it was, I think, in the transition of kind of moving from CDP to the drug court program. Unfortunately, on March 26, 2020, that's when you advanced to phase 2. We weren't able to celebrate that because we were in our shutdown. You advanced to phase 3 on June 18th, and on September 24th, you presented your life map, and on that day, you got your 1-year coin from the program. When you started coming to court in January, you always had a story. Something was always going on with you. You never genuinely took responsibility for your part in all of your noncompliance. You are a smart talker. You know what to say and you know what sounds good, but your actions were not matching your words. As I've already talked about, you received at least one sanction every month from the time you entered, except when you were in inpatient treatment, until the time that I heard the petition to terminate. You were determined to complete the drug court program, but under the Corey Thompson rules. Despite that, you've had one of the greatest, most genuine journeys in this program. It took you a long time. It took you the entire 2 years. We have a 2-year program. It's taken the entire 2 years, but you have gotten there. It seemed to us, the drug court team, that you saw yourself differently than your fellow participants, that you were better than everyone else. Today, we don't see that man anymore. You are the same, but you are completely different. I was so struck at your last court hearing. And at everyone's last court hearing, I give them an opportunity to speak to the current participants, to give them words of wisdom, encouragement, advice, really whatever it is that they want to say to their fellow participants. And you talked about where you were before you entered the program, and you talked about that in your speech today. And it was, I'd never heard you talk about yourself like that. You completely humbled yourself. You talked about what an incredibly low point you were at, and you completed your comments by encouraging your fellow participants to really engage and trust the program, because that's the key. You have to trust the program. To get real and to be honest, I don't really think I can adequately express the impact of how you said that and what you said. You were completely real. No pretense, no story, just the real Corey Thompson, and a man who should be and is proud to be Corey Thompson. In your application to move from phase 2 to phase 3, you said you were ready to go to phase 3 because I'm finally learning to get out of my own way, which is what we were seeing. I'm learning to listen instead of speak. I'm learning to admit all of my character defects, not just the ones I'm comfortable acknowledging. I'm ready to continue learning what it takes to be a better father, a better son, a better brother, a better friend, and a better person. In phase 3, you did all of those things. You were able to travel and see your parents that you had not seen in years, and to take that trip with your daughter. You've continued to work hard in treatment and in your life. Your graduation application was genuine and talked about where you really are today. You stated, although my journey isn't complete, I feel that I finally discovered who I am. Equally important, I have also discovered where I want to go moving forward. And for the first time in my life, I can legitimately say that I love myself, and I am the person I am and the person I have become. I want to end with this final thought. Although you were disingenuous for the first 9 months in this program, and maybe even a little bit in CDP at times early on, there is one thing that you were always genuine about, and that is your absolute love and devotion for your daughter and your desire to be part of her life. Now, that was not always enough to help you make the right decision or the good decision. However, it is now. And it is the reason I did not terminate you from the program, because I knew that there was that part of you that just was trying to come out and you just kept getting in your own way, your own words. You are an incredible father and role model for your daughter. You know what it is to be a good parent, and that does not always mean being the fun parent. Your daughter is truly lucky to have you as a father. Congratulations. Mr. Tinnerstedt. So you entered the program in July of 2019, and you had several sanctions while in the program. August 6th, a sanction. You had 2 cell phone violations. I've never seen this before either. 2 cell phone violations, like at one time, one day after the next. The next, August 9th, just a few days later, a sanction for a UA violation. It was dilute. October 1st, sanction, treatment, cross-talking while other people were talking. October 8th, sanction, and that was when you relapsed and had the UA positive for alcohol. In December of 2019, you had a contract violation. On February 6th, you advanced to phase 2. On March 5th, you had a sanction for a contract violation, thing with Lori. On April 15th, you had a sanction because you got angry during your Zoom treatment and left. You advanced to phase 3 on July 2nd, and you presented your life map, and you got your 1-year coin on October 1st. When you entered the program, we weren't really sure about you. You used humor and sarcasm in every situation. Now you still use humor and sarcasm, but very appropriately. Like many people, you didn't like to be told what to do, and you wanted to do the program your own way. Your words at your last court hearing when you talked about how you were, when you came into the program, when you had your opportunity to address your fellow participants, you said, "I was oppositional and I thought I knew everything." Then something changed for you. You opened yourself up and finally surrendered to the process and the program and decided to trust us. When you moved to phase 2 a little over a month before our shutdown, you had a few struggles after that, but you were able to really work in treatment and develop on your own strengths. In July, when you were ready to go to phase 3, our team, and when we talked in staffing, knew that it really was time for you to move on, and we were struck by how much you had changed in the last year. Your application to move to phase 3, you indicated that it was time to get to the last phase because when you did your CSC homework, you were only using new thinking. One of your strengths is communication. You like to communicate with people, and that is actually a gift because so many people can't do that and keep everything inside. You know how to reach out when something is going on or just to check in. You've developed strong relationships while in this program and a very strong support system. You also are a great dad, and you prioritize spending time with your daughter whenever possible. As you recently told treatment to tell me in staffing for your October court review, these are your words, you are a bright and shining example of doing fantastic. One of the things that we talk a lot about in our program is honesty and trust. You have to be completely honest and you have to trust the program. Those two things go hand in hand, and if you don't trust the program, you can never be truly honest. And you spoke about that in your application to graduate. First, although someone's already mentioned your favorite quote, you indicated that you knew that you were right where you were supposed to be. Graduation is great, but it's also a little bit scary because the accountability of our program obviously is gone. And that is something that helps people along the way, helps people to be accountable. But I really liked in your graduation application when you were talking about the fact that your name was on the board and that you didn't think your name would be on the board unless the drug court team thought you should be on the board. And you wrote, "I've trusted the drug court team thus far, so I'll trust them now." And we know that you are ready to graduate. You have done an amazing time, an amazing job in this program and completely transformed yourself. And your daughter is also lucky to have such a wonderful father. Congratulations. Next is Terry going to present the trees. I hope you have a really big one for Mr. Thompson that shows 2 years and not just 18 months.
In front of the drug court building is planned. Heavy to carry. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Oh, gentlemen, what you are in possession of are 18-month noble sea seedlings. Let me get this off so I can talk. This is a tradition that was started many years ago by a forester, Mr. Paul Graves. It was his way of recognizing the folks that graduate from drug court. He continued this tradition, and the trees, the 18-month symbolizes that period of time that it usually takes, plus or minus for some people, to participate in the program. Find a good place to go and plant your tree.
Don't bury it.
Don't bury it. Find a good, safe place to plant your tree. You will not notice growth immediately, but over time, you will notice the tree start to grow, such as yourselves growing in your sobriety, growing in your recovery. The tree is Mother Nature's way of scrubbing the air. Tree may be something special to you to be able to go and visit. Talk to your tree. Share. Make that tree that special place that you go to when you're having that moment that you need just to go and do something or talk or get something off your chest. You've done a lot in this program. I'm very proud of all 4 of you for everything that you have done, the accomplishments, and the path that you have in life. And with that, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Ms. Hewitson, do you have any motions for the court?
I do, Your Honor. Yes. Maybe 3. Your Honor, if we could first start with Mr. Andre Charles. Your Honor, in cause 19-100-479-34, based on Mr. Charles' successful completion of the drug court program, the state moves to dismiss with prejudice.
I am signing the order of dismissal.
Your Honor, if we could next call Edward James Farron.
The whole name?
The whole name. Your Honor, in clause 19-10121-34, based on Mr. Farron's successful completion of drug court, the state moves to dismiss with prejudice.
I'm signing the order of dismissal.
Your Honor, I next have 2 matters. Mr. Corey Ridge Thompson could please rise. In case numbers 18-101-616-34 and 18-101-249-34, based on Mr. Thompson's successful completion of the drug court program, the state moves to dismiss both charges with prejudice.
I am granting the state's motion and signing both orders.
Last but certainly not least, if Mr. Christopher Allen Tinnerstedt could please rise. Your Honor, in cause number 19-101-090-34, based on Mr. Tinnerstedt's successful completion of drug court, state moves to dismiss with prejudice.
And I grant the state's motion and am signing the order. I want to thank everyone who's in the courtroom who was able to join us, everyone who's on Zoom and who is watching us by live stream. This concludes our graduation and court is adjourned. So let's get a picture before you step down. Click your hand to your phone.